island people, black people, black Americans, Africans, colored people, indigenous people, and anybody else that is with us. You know, I realize that I have a unique perspective. I realize that the fact that I lived in New York for so long, Pennsylvania, the East Coast, I traveled to other places, and I also grew up in the islands. I grew up in Antigua until I was 17. I had a little dose of St. Croix for like 3 months, 1989. Then I went on to the States right after Hurricane Hugo. So this has created this man. Now I'm back in the islands. And I realize now I'm in the islands that I'm amongst my people. I'm realizing certain things about myself and about my people. We don't see the big picture. Lots of times all we see is what we see, this little box. So our perspective is just this. So sometimes I'm having conversations and what I'm getting from individuals is just this. And then I'm realizing that it's bigger than just this because other entities control what goes on in this. This don't really have no control. The only control we have is as individuals, as community, going back to the village life. Everybody looking out for everybody. Other than that, it's just a small version of the Bronx, a version of Brooklyn. Every island is just like that. So you have good and bad. And now you realize that the kids in the islands are looking up to the gunman. Rap music made it seem as if to have an ops is a wonderful thing. Going to prison is no big deal. It's like a badge of honor. I remember in 1989, 1990, 91, when I'm in the Bronx, I'm in Brooklyn, I'm among certain individuals. That was what it was. Like you had to go to Rikers, you had to do some time, you had to go upstate for them to look at you as if you were somebody. And I'm looking at this because I'm coming from the islands, whereas whenever you got locked up in Antigua back then, people looked down on you. You disgraced the family, so forth and so on. That's how jail was looked at. Somebody that was a repeat offender, they call him jail bud. And those people were really really out there. You seldom had repeat offenders like that back then. So I'm coming from this environment and then I end up in the environment whereas it's a free for all. Every man for themselves. I gotta get you before you get me type mentality. And I had to adapt. And I realized that there's a lot of people that know me that don't know me because they don't understand that I was a part of that. I had to because I was. Yes, I. Wagwan, wagwan. I was. Yes, I respect. I was dropped off in the middle of this thing. I had to survive. I had to figure it out. Now, when you're in the jungle, you're either gonna become prey, gonna be the lion, or you're gonna be the gazelle. That's just what it is. So you learn to adapt to all of this. And so as I'm amongst people, I'm amongst young people, I'm realizing that there is still that disconnect because a lot of the adults tend to forget that they were once kids. And a lot of the things that the children are doing now is because we did not guide them the right way. And we did a version of that before they came along. They came and met a version of that. And they spin to it and now we have what we have. But the gun violence has always been there. The gun play has always been there. The drugs has always been there. From way back when, from what, the 60s and the 80s, crack hit. So this is our reality. We gotta make sure that we reach back out to the children and don't talk down to them, but have conversations. Let them understand that you were that before they became that. But a lot of us hide the truth and pretend as if that's foreign to us. It is not. All these kids are just a version of us. I raised up with these type of people. I was part of this too. I know what it is. And it's not bad people, it's just sometimes circumstances, really and truly, the environment. When a child grow up, before the child is even in the world, in his father's sperm, then into his mother, he's already knowing violence. Because his mom is running from gunshots, dropping on the floor in her apartment because somebody's shooting outside. In the streets, gotta drop down, get on their car because they're shooting outside. Fighting, chaos. The child is being raised into this environment before the child even know who he or she is. That's the reality of a lot of these children in the hood. So those of us that at one point had a little peace before we got into the chaos, we see a different perspective and we understand it. We don't judge because we understand that even though we was not born in that type of chaos, when we got into that chaos still did a damage to us, still lead us a certain way, still have us thinking a certain way, still move in a certain way because you had to. You had to be on point. You had to, even if you're in the streets, because many years I was in corporate, I was in management. Many years I was not in the streets, but I live in the streets. I have to go to these streets. These dudes, I grew up with them. I know them. They're in the streets. I'm around it constantly. That's just the reality. So even when I did my little dirt in the streets, it was just my reality. At that time, that was what needed to be done with the circumstances going on. That's what it was. It's about survival. It's about getting out from this. Not getting out and trying to come back to it. No, it's never about that. It's about trying not to have this type of life, whereas you gotta have ups. Whereas they're trying to get you, so you gotta get them first. And like I said, no judgment, because I know a lot of you born into this situation. This start happening before you even exist on this earth. You understand that? But I'm saying as an individual, you gotta say, yo, ah man, this ain't for me, man. I don't want to be killing nobody. I don't want nobody coming to try to kill me. I gotta get away from this. If you gotta move away from the environment, I gotta move away. I gotta figure it out. I gotta get away from this. Because my mom gonna cry. Somebody else's mom gonna cry. My boy's mom gonna cry. Whoever. That's all we get from this. It's trauma and more pain and more pain. We gotta get away from it. Think for yourself, man. Think for yourself. You're better than this. You were not born into this world to create chaos. Out of need to survive, we do some of these things that we do. But when you get the opportunity to get out of it, get out of it. That ain't the way to live. Understand that. Love to the streets, to all the street dudes, all the girls, all the girl them in the street, the bad girl them, whoever that everybody turn their back on. I will never do that because to some capacity, I'm you. I am you. A lot of people might not realize that, but a lot of your dealings and things that you been there, done that. Can't even lie. Can't even lie. But love to the world, to black people, you must have understanding. A lot of us coming from slavery, that mentality. Survival. We never felt comfortable. We never felt comfortable. It's all about survival, survival. How many of us really have lived? Very few. Because it's about survival. Somebody's trying to get me. If it's not the guy that I used to go to school with down this block, it's the police, it's the system. Woman against man, they put us against each other. All that is a part of their plan. All of that is a part of their plan. And we just keep on falling into it and going and saying, why are we going wrong? Because we keep on doing the same things. So we're going to get the same results. We got to start valuing the man, and the man got to start valuing the woman. Black people, I'm talking. Colored people. That's who I'm speaking to. That's my people. And the others, like I say, if you're with us, you're with us. Blessings. But love to y'all, man. Big up, big up. I just had to say this. Just had to say this because there's so much that I see that my people not seeing. I had to say this. Love to the world. Love to Antigua. Love to the Bronx. Love to Brooklyn. Love to Jersey. Love to Pennsylvania. Love to St. Croix, the U.S. Virgin Islands. Love. Love the entire Caribbean. Love to the motherland, Africa. All colored people, even if you're Spanish, if you're colored, please. Love, man, love to y'all. Scotty then called me. Rastafari. Yeah, yeah.